Hey, folks, it's time for the quote of the day. And if you're somebody that looks for positivity and inspiration, today is your day. The man that I'm quoting today is without a doubt one of the most inspirational poets of all time. And he is absolutely the writer of of my favorite poem. Really, honestly, my favorite poem. It's a very simple poem. It's one that every time I've read it here, which I think has been two or three times now, people have always enjoyed. But I think that it's very simple. It speaks plainly, and that's really kind of the great thing about him. Today we are quoting Edgar Guest. Now, Edgar Guest is at one point in time was called the people's poet. Now, I want to make this clear before I continue, though. I'm quoting him over somebody else that has a bajillion quotes I could have used. Today is also H.P. Lovecraft's birthday. And if you know anything about Lovecraft, you know I could basically open up a book and go like this and find a quote, right? But I really enjoy Edgar Guest, and I feel like people need to hear his positivity and his inspiration. I think that his message is one that is important in today's world, just as it was back when he was writing it. And I want to make that clear. Like a lot of times people, well, let me say this: people hated Edgar Guest after a while. People couldn't stand him. He became kind of we've seen this in social media and media all over in our lives where somebody will get like immensely popular and then somebody somewhere will decide that their popularity is a problem. Edgar Guest at one point in time, he wrote for the Detroit Free Press, and he had a, I don't remember the name of the column, but he had a column that would come out every Sunday, I think it was, and this was one of the most read columns in America. Especially during the worst times of our country. You're talking World War One, the Great Depression, World War Two. People needed to hear a message of hope and positivity, and Edgar Guest was supplying it. The problem is that at the same time he was doing that, he was becoming immensely popular, and that popularity was the double-edged sword that caused a lot of people to take the term the people's poet and turn it against him. Well, he's the people's poet because people are stupid. And well, while I agree with that, that's not really why. Like that's not like he was a voice of inspiration, right? Like he was somebody that people could read his poetry and go, "Oh, I understand this and I agree with it. I like it. It makes me feel good." And that was all it was. It was simple. Yes, that's the point. It was simple. It could Anybody could read an Edgar Guest poem and get something positive out of it for the most part. And I think that understanding, it really, like people that were like, poem aficionados and poetry big people and like that, like these kind of people that just looked down on sharing poetry with the simple people, right? Like, well, there's no depth to it. There's no this, there's no that. Where's the pathos? Where's the pain? Like that kind of thing. Like, and sometimes you don't need that. Sometimes the world around you is so dark and so painful that what you need is light. And Edgar Guest supplied that over and over again, and became a source of it. And I think that honestly, it was a situation where people just got so pissed off at his popularity, at the fact that somebody could say something so simple, so heartfelt, but so simple, and people would respond to it, and they were like, "Well, but look at all the pain that I was in when I wrote this," and they didn't understand that the people didn't want that. But there was enough pain in this world. A good portion of Edgar Guest's work became very, very popular during the Great Depression. And people were in enough pain. They didn't want to see more pain. It was everywhere around them. And the reality is, and the reason why I think it's so important to share his message is because we're headed back towards that again. Thanks to the administration that we have in control of our country, we are headed in that direction where people are going to be struggling. People already are struggling, but people are going to be struggling even more mightily. Homelessness at an all-time high. People are going to be dying, and people will need this font of positivity, this ability to find something to keep going. People want to discount him and sell him short, but the reality is that when you think about some of those situations, you think about families that used to have to, they would buy a chicken at the start of the week, and by the end of the week, they would be boiling the bones of the chicken just to drink the broth because that's all they could afford. Like, that's the kind of thing that we're talking about here. And if somebody is writing in the paper, which you can pick up somewhere, you can pick up, somebody will throw it away and you can pick it up out of the trash and read it because you can't afford to buy anything. And you can read the Edgar Guest thing that has just a little bit of hope in it, like why would you hate on that? I we're headed towards a dark time here in this country again. And I feel like his message, his poetry, will become relevant very much so again. And so I wanted to remind people of his existence. Go look him up. Go read some of his poems. They're very simple. They're very easy to read. You don't have to, be a scholar. And they hit you. They hit you in the heart. Today I'm going to read, as I've said, a poem that I've read 2 or 3 times on here. It's a poem that I've read to people. I've read this to a guy in jail and he cried. Like, it is without a doubt my favorite poem ever. It is a poem that every time I read it, I think of my mother because she read it to me out of a book of poems that she had. And this is how I found it. That's how I understand it. And so I'm going to read It Couldn't Be Done by Edgar Guest. And again, I've read this poem before. I'm sure many of you have heard it before, but it never ceases to amaze me how much I feel. This was the poem that I used to drive myself when I was running my own business, when I had my own store and things were hard. This is the poem that I would recite to myself. I had it printed out and I would read it to myself. It was posted on my desk. So, for the quote of the day, this is It Couldn't Be Done by Edgar Guest. Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but he, with a chuckle, replied, maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so till he tried. So he buckled right in with the trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hid it. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done. And he did it. Somebody scoffed, oh, you'll never do that. At least no one ever has done it. But he took off his coat, and he took off his hat, and the first thing we knew, he'd begun it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, without any doubting or quiddit, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle in with a bit of a grin. Just take off your coat and go to it. Just start to sing as you tackle the thing that cannot be done, and you'll do it. Easily my favorite thing to read in the world, possibly. I mean, there's like maybe 2 other poems, maybe in the whole world. I can't describe to you guys how powerful this is for me. Like, not only does it have a bit of nostalgia and bring me back to sitting next to my mother while she reads it out of her blue and black covered poetry book that has like 1,000 poems in it, but it takes me to all of the times when I would sit at my desk with no ability to pay bills, with no, like, just the world literally feeling like it's collapsing around me, and just no hope left. And I would read this, and so many people were telling me that I couldn't do it. So many people would tell me to give up. So many people would tell me that it just wasn't possible. And for 9 years, I struggled, I scrapped, I fought. And this poem is one of the reasons why I was able to do it. I literally drove myself to the point of breaking because of this poem. And people would say, well, why is that a good thing? Because I never gave up. And so as I sit here today, I can say I gave everything I possibly could to make my dream come true. And it is, I don't regret it. It's the best thing I could possibly have done. I do that in relationships. I do that in friendships. I do that with everything around me. And I do it because I know there are people out there right now that are cheering against me. I know there are people out there right now that are telling me or wishing upon me, it can't be done. You can't do this. There are people out there that send me messages and comments and DMs that tell me that I should give up and I shouldn't keep doing my videos or having a message. And every single one of them falls to the wayside in light of the words of Edgar Guest. Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so till he tried. Happy birthday to Edgar Guest, and to the rest of you, please take care of yourself, take care of others, I'll talk to you soon.